Traveling. Rome. So, it was 2007 when a group of us, there were 5 of us in fact, my boyfriend, 2 of my best friends and the boyfriend of one of them, we made up our minds and went to Italy for our holidays. Even today, 9 years later, we still remember affectionately all the funny stories we relished for 15 days in the summer of 2007. The first stop on our trip was Rome, the so-called Eternal City. I loved Rome, for one reason in particular, the beauty. First and foremost, the beauty of the Italian men, in particular all those jaw-droppingly handsome carabinieri, who were watching over all the monuments of the city, which actually made us second-guess what the actual monument was and what we were supposed to be looking at exactly. And secondly, the beauty of the city. Rome's a museum itself. A history museum. Each and every street you walk on has its own little bit of history. All those hills, Trajan's Column, the Roman Colosseum and Forum were nothing short of spectacular, in particular the Forum, where you could find some sensational views. Well worth the queue. Circus Maximus, the roots of Broadway, Via Appia, where the soldiers' parades were amazing, and the Catacombs, the grave of Christianity. It's also a museum of art. You can breathe art on every street, every single church. It's full of masterpieces, indoors and out, like no other city in the world. A museum of film. There are many places captured and seen in classic film scenes. I mean, come on, who hasn't seen the Trevi Fountain scene filmed in La Dolce Vita? Or the scene of La Bocca della Verite in Roman Holidays. I didn't pretend to have my hand bitten off by it, a la Gregory Peck. Apparently that part of the film was improvised and not scripted originally. Audrey Hepburn looked shocked enough. The days, though, are quite tough as a tourist, with too many things to do and visit. Well, days might be tough, but nights are even tougher. If Rome bathed in daylight is spectacular, then nights are just something else. Trastevere is the opportune place to have a bite to eat and a drink here and there. Full of young people, restaurants and bars, it's a kind of oasis of fresh air amid the city and its history. The food's great all around. I had 3 pizzas in the first 2 days. The best at D'Abafetto. The strong cheeses. Everything goes down well with some white wine. The tiramisu from Pompi, which was close to the Piazza di Spagna, was just sublime, great. We had a hazelnut flavour, but seriously had to stop ourselves from buying more and more. Pompi also does great ice cream. We had booked an apartment and all 5 of us lived all together, and every night one of my best friends and I used to go out at night after the lengthy day of tourism stuff. Occasionally, we'd go out to Trastevere to have a drink, sometimes to Piazza Navona to have an ice cream, or sometimes to the Trevi area to enjoy the views on a little stroll. We just couldn't waste away our time sleeping with all that life outside. We had to go out, if only because we could no longer stand the pressure of the rest of the group. They acted as if they were our parents. Every night when we came back, we had to listen to their constant nagging, and each time we couldn't help laughing, which, in hindsight, made them even angrier. They still travel with us, though, so they must love us the way we are. Days were interesting. I love art, and I enjoyed it a lot. St. Peter is amazing, with the Baldacchino and La Pieta, Bernini's masterpieces. You mustn't forget to visit the church of San Pietro in Vincoli either, to indulge in the delightful statue of Moses and the catacombs. Whilst there, we ran into an old retired Spanish priest who, in turn, was quite pleased to run into us there. He explained the story of those catacombs to us, and he gave us a little figurine with the image of the Virgin Mary. We had quite a few laughs every time we found ourselves trying to avoid the guards at the door of every church. We went in summer, and summer can get really quite warm, and almost every day the girls forgot to bring something to cover and hide our shoulders or legs if we wore indecent clothes. It was funny how we avoided the guards or made up some costume on the spot to trick them, with whatever we could find in our bags. It goes without saying that it left us giggling for a while afterwards. The Vatican's a bit too much, to be honest, and the Sistine Chapel is nice, but after walking through 13 rooms with also quite good frescoes, I was a bit fed up by the time I got to the Sistine Chapel. Furthermore, there are too many people and it's a right pain walking through the museum. Traffic ends up being quite important, if you want to survive Rome. Beware of the traffic because honestly it's like a jungle. Look carefully from left to right and then once more, even on the zebra crossing. The pedestrian doesn't have the right to cross. Despite an Italian telling me about it prior, it still shocked me. He told me that they've gotten used to doing that, letting the car or the million motorbikes and scooters that go past. You just have to be determined. If you doubt about crossing for a second, the car will go and the next car will go. You've just got to put your foot out and cross. The cars will stop. Well, most of the time. Rome's full of fountains too, and not only like the Trevi one, I mean with drinking water. It was more than welcome considering the weather. All my friends said that the water tasted good, but the fact is, the water, at least for me, was full of bugs. My intestines found out the hard way. So after 6 days in Rome, we hired a car and started our trip up to Florence. All 5 of us, and of course those little bugs.